In the heart of San Francisco, amidst the ever-changing skyline, stands a mansion whose secret scars have remained tightly hidden for over a century. The Ashe Crocker Mansion, built in 1883, is more than just an opulent estate. It is a place where wealth, power, and mystery intersect. Its walls have witnessed generations of this influence, its tragedy, and whispers of ghostly encounters. For years, the mansion's full story has been shrouded in legend, its true purposely lost to time. What happened behind these walls to make the Ashe Crocker Mansion so famous and infamous? The mansion's architect, the firm Ahlers, Curlett, and Cuthbertson, was chosen for its prestigious reputation for designing grand estates for San Francisco's elite. It was the time of the Gilded Age, and the Crocker family, at the height of their wealth, wanted a mansion that would be a symbol of their success. The mansion was not just meant to be a home. It was a statement to both the social elite and the growing middle class that the Crockers were a family of great importance. But what did this mansion represent beyond wealth and status? In 1883, as San Francisco was still recovering from the devastation of the 1906 earthquake, but its people were forging ahead, establishing themselves as one of the wealthiest cities on the West Coast. At the center of this prosperity was the Crocker family. The patriarch, Charles Crocker, had made his fortune through railroads, as mining, and as banking. His influence and power were evident in every aspect of the family's life. Nothing was out of their reach. Yet even with all their power, there were rumors that the mansion's true purpose had nothing to do with simply showcasing wealth. Some say the mansion was built as an symbol of control. Others say it was meant to be an isolated retreat to protect secrets too dangerous to reveal. The Ashe Crocker Mansion was built on an isolated property away from the busy streets of downtown San Francisco. This decision raised questions. Why choose such a location? While some might attribute it to a desire for peace and privacy, others speculate that the secluded location was meant to hide something darker. There were whispers of family secrets from mysterious disappearances to hidden activities that have never been confirmed. What happened behind the tall, looming gates and within the mansion's towering walls? Was there something more to this mansion than just its impressive architecture? The mansion's location on a hill gave it a commanding view of San Francisco, but it also separated it from the bustling world below. The Ashe Crocker Mansion was surrounded by manicured gardens, dense trees, and a private estate, everything designed to keep the mansion isolated even from the city's elite. This raised further questions. Was it to avoid the prying eyes of others, or was the Crocker family hiding something within its lavish walls? Perhaps this mansion, grand as it was not built just to house that wealthy family, but to protect them from forces that they believed could destroy them. As we move forward, we will uncover the construction and designs of the mansion, its original owners, and the architectural choices made to transform the mansion into what it is today. But before we dive deeper, it's important to explore the mysterious beginnings of this mansion and the secrets that were rumored to be hidden within its walls. The Ashe Crocker family was one of the wealthiest in the nation, and their mansion, San Francisco, was built to match their influence. Charles Crocker, the patriarch of the family, was a man of great ambition. He had made his fortune through the Central Pacific Railroad, one of the most important railway companies in the U.S. during the 19th century. His wealth and power were unrivaled, and the Ashe Crocker Mansion was the crowning jewel of that power. But despite their fortune, there was always a sense of mystery surrounding the Crockers. The mansion's construction began in Dyer's 1883, at a time when the Crocker family was at the peak of its influence. They had already established themselves as one of the most powerful families in California, with ties to politicians, business magnates, and socialites from across the United States. But while the mansion was built as a testament to their wealth, many wondered if there was more to it than just luxury. The architectural firm Curlett and Cuthbertson was chosen for the task, And they were renowned for designing some of the most grandiose estates in California. Their design for the Esse's Ashe Crocker Mansion was no different. The mansion was conceived as a multi-story Victorian Gothic structure with intricate stonework, towering spires, and detailed carving serrae. The design was meant to give the mansion an air of mystery with its steep roofs, darkened windows, and eerie towers. This wasn't just a mansion. It was a vast castle designed to intimidate and awe all who laid eyes upon it. As the mansion's construction progressed, rumors began to circulate about the Crockers' motivations. Some believed the family's wealth was built on questionable deals, and the mansion's location was meant to shield them from the public eye. Others suggested that the mansion was showpieces, built to impress their rivals and demonstrate their superiority. Whatever the true reason, one thing was certain: the mansion was not just a place to live. It was an estate built for the aegis, a home for a family who knew the power of keeping secrets, and one that would protect them for generations. But as the mansion neared completion, a series of strange events began to unfold. The Crocker family had always been known for their power, but there were murmurs about their mysterious dealings, rumors of business ties gone wrong, and family scandals that had been swept under the rug. Was the mansion just a cover-up for something darker? Our safe haven from prying eyes. The Ashe Crocker Mansion is not merely a piece of architecture. It is a monument to the ambition, wealth, and mystery of the Crocker family. Its construction in 1883 was a statement, one that declared the family's position in society. But what led to the decision to build such an imposing mansion in the first place? Why did the Crocker family, already wealthy beyond imagination, feel the need to construct a home that seemed more like a fortress than a residence? The West Crocker family had made their fortune in the railroad industry, an industry that was expanding rapidly in the late 19th century. Their wealth was built on the back of the Ashe, or Central Pacific Railroad, which was one of the largest and most influential railroads in the country. By the time the mansion's construction began, these Crockers were already among the richest families in California, and their influence stretched far beyond the state's borders. Yet, for all their wealth, the Crockers were never far from controversy. Their wealth, in fact, was often the subject of scrutiny. There were whispers about the Allers' questionable dealings that helped build their fortune, and questions about how they had amassed so much power. It was at this moment in 1883 that the family made a decision to build a mansion that would not only reflect their wealth, but also serve as a symbol of dominance. The Ashe Crocker Mansion was designed to be much more than just a home. It was a way to stake a claim on their legacy, and it was meant to be a fortress of power and influence in a rapidly changing world. The architectural firm Curlett and Cuthbertson was brought in to create the design for the mansion. The firm was well known in San Francisco for their work on grand, ornate buildings that were designed to impress. The Crockers wanted a mansion that would set them apart from the rest, something that would define them as a powerful dynasty. The Ashe Crocker Mansion was designed to be unmistakable. Its design was a bold mix of Victorian Gothic and Italianate styles, with towering spires and ornate stonework and intricate carvings. The mansion itself was situated on a large plot of land in a relatively isolated part of the city, chosen specifically for its privacy. This decision, while seemingly practical, raised more questions than it answered. Was this location chosen for its seclusion, away from the busy, prying eyes of San Francisco's elite? Or was it something deeper? The Crockers were, after all, no strangers to controversy, and this seclusion could very well have been a protective measure. By placing the mansion on a hill, the Crocker family ensured that no one could easily see or enter the property without the family's permission. Construction began in 1883, and the project was expected to take several years to complete. The architectural firm used high-quality materials, importing marble, stone, and wood from across the country and even from overseas. It wasn't just the quality of the materials that was important. The scale of the project was ambitious, perhaps more than any other private estate built in the city at that time. The mansion was designed to be as imposing, as fortified, and as grand. Its design incorporated towering as Gothic spires, as her elaborate stonework, and as massive windows that allowed the family to look down upon their domain. Despite the grandiosity of the mansion's design, the construction process wasn't easy. The site chosen for the mansion was on a steep hill, making it challenging to lay the foundations. The workers had to excavate deep into the ground to create a stable base, a process that slowed the construction considerably. Additionally, the mansion's size meant that this Crocker family had to import large quantities of materials from around the country, adding another layer of complexity to the project. The construction was also marked by several incidences that added to the mansion's mystique. There were rumors of strange happenings on the site, as disappearances of workers, as accidents, and even strange Ashe illnesses that seemed to strike some of the laborers working on the mansion. These incidents were whispered about among the workers and surrounding neighbors, but the West Crockers were always tight-lipped. Was this just a case of unfortunate events, or was there something more at play here? Some historians believe that the family's wealth may have been the reason for the mysterious events surrounding the mansion. There were rumors of the Crocker family's secrets, from financial misdeeds to personal scandals, and the construction of the mansion seemed to coincide with a number of these Ezra's whispers. Whether or not these rumors had any merit, the stories about the mansion's construction added to its aura of mystery. The Ashe Crocker Mansion became a symbol of secrecy, a place where only the family's closest allies and as important figures were allowed to enter. Finally, after years of meticulous planning and construction, the Ashe Crocker Mansion was completed in 1885, an imposing structure that stood as a testament to the Crocker family's wealth, its influences, and ambition. The mansion was no longer just our home. It was our legacy of the Crocker family that would be passed down for generations. It stood not just as a symbol of wealth, but as a place that would hold the Oz family's secrets for years to come. This Crocker family had achieved their goal. They had built a mansion that would define their legacy. But as we will see in the next section, the mansion would become much more than just a place of residence. It would be a site of scandals. It was mysteries and dark tales that would continue to haunt its halls long after the family's time. As the doors of the Ashe Crocker Mansion were opened in 1885, the mansion was no longer just a construction project. It was now the setting for Agar's new chapter in the story of the Crocker family. The mansion's grandiosity, our seclusion, and our mysterious origins immediately began to set the tone for the events that would unfold within its walls. This was no ordinary residence. It became a center of power, a place that would reflect the Crockers' wealth, but also their RSS ambitions, secrets, and the darkness that sometimes followed those who sought to control everything in their path. The first occupant skulls of the Ashe Crocker Mansion were, of course, the Crocker family itself, with Charles Crocker, the patriarch, taking up residence in the mansion with his wife and children. Charles, who had risen from humble beginnings to become one of the wealthiest men in California, was deeply invested in the mansion's completion. It was more than just a home for him. It was R's monument to his success. Every stone in the mansion symbolized the immense wealth he had accumulated through the Central Pacific Railroad, one of the most important railroads in the United States at the time. As the mansion was being completed, there was no shortage of R's visitors who came to admire the Ashe Crocker Mansion's architectural brilliance. There's Crockers were eager to show off their achievement, and so the mansion was often the site of lavish gatherings, banquets, and celebrations. Wealthies, as businessmen, as politicians, and socialites from across the country were invited to enjoy the extravagances of the mansion. These gatherings were an opportunity for the Crockers to solidify their position in San Francisco's elite society, and they spared no expense in ensuring that every detail was perfect. The mansion was designed to serve not only as a home, but also as a Ashe venue for political and Oz business maneuvering. The Ashe Crocker Mansion quickly became a harbor of influence in the city. The family's ability to host such Oz opulent events helped to reinforce their status and ensured that their mansion was seen as the Oz epitome of Oz refinement. However, beneath the surface of War's glamour and as wealth, there were growing whispers of War's dark secrets that seemed to plague the family's history. For the S. Crocker family, the mansion was not just a place for public display, but as private world isolated from the scrutiny of the public eye. Within its walls, the family's true nature began to emerge. As Charles Crocker, the ambitious patriarch, was known to be Oz's formidable figure in business. Yet, there were rumors that his obsession with Oz control and his need to maintain power sometimes overshadowed the more human aspects of his character. His drive to succeed at all costs was evident in everything the family did, including their choice of residence. While the mansion's grand design and Oz luxury were celebrated by many, there were those who felt that there was something sinister about the Crockers' way of life. The Ashe Crocker family story was intertwined with several Oz rumors and Oz scandals that had long been whispered about among the city's elite. Some suggested that the mansion itself, its isolated location, and its secluded nature, was built as a way to escape our scrutiny and to hide from the darkness of their past. Was the mansion simply a symbol of their wealth and a prestige, or was there something more disturbing lurking within its walls? The Ashe Crockers were not alone in the mansion for long. Over the years, the mansion became the home of many notable individuals who were linked to the Ashe Crocker family, either by as marriages, as business, or as friendship. Several family members lived there, including Charles Crocker's sons, who would go on to inherit both the mansion and the family's fortune. Each member of the Ashe Crocker family contributed to the mansion's legacy, whether through business deals, political connections, or social influence. As the years passed, the mansion continued to serve as the center of the Crocker family's life, but it was also a witness to the family's tragedies and secrets. Charles Crocker himself died in an 88 age, just a few years after the mansion's completion, and his death marked a turning point for the family. Although the mansion remained in the family's hands, the passing of its patriarch seemed to set off a series of events that would define the future of the mansion. One of the key elements of the mansion's early history was the gauze role it played in shaping the Crocker family's future. The mansion became a place where decisions were made, where business deals were negotiated, and where personal tragedies unfolded. In many ways, the mansion served as a stage for the Crocker family's drama, a setting for both their successes and failures. The mansion's first years also marked a time when the Ashe Crockers solidified their place in San Francisco's high society. The Ashe Crocker Mansion was the epitome of sophistication, and it quickly became the go-to place for social gatherings and influential events. Guests from across the globe were invited to dine in its luxurious rooms, dance in its ballrooms, and marvel at its exquisite architecture. But beyond the golden chandeliers and grand staircases, there is an undercurrent of tension and intrigue. As we move further into the mansion's history, we'll uncover the rosin mysteries that lay hidden within its walls. How did this Crocker family's early years in the mansion lead to some of the bar's most notorious events in its history? What role did this grand estate play in shaping the future of one of California's wealthiest families? The Ashe Crocker Mansion is a testament to the Crocker family's wealth, but it is also a monument to the era's architectural ambitions. When it was completed in 1885, it was considered one of the most magnificent estates ever built in San Francisco. The mansion was not just a private residence, it was a vast statement of power, a physical manifestation of the Crocker family's dominance in California society. The architecture of the Ashe Crocker Mansion was a blend of styles that were both fashionable and avant-garde for its time. Designed by the architectural firm of Curlett and Cuthbertson, The mansion was created in the Victorian Gothic and Italian styles, combining these ornate details and as a grand scale of Ashe with Victorian Gothic with the elegance, say, and an balance of Ashe's Italian architecture. The mansion's design made it stand out from all other buildings in the area. Its tall spire sky, exar arch windows, and intricate carvings gave it a commanding presence that demanded attention. The mansion had a grand layout, reflecting the status of the family who built it. Spread over several acres, the mansion was designed with multiple wings and rooms, each serving a specific purpose in the family's day-to-day life. The mansion had a total of 45 rooms, and within these rooms, the Crockers hosted lavish balls, dinners, and gatherings of. The mansion's design incorporated both private spaces and public spaces, allowing the family to move seamlessly between A's intimacy and A's public life. The Ashe grand staircase that greeted visitors upon entering the mansion was one of the most impressive features of the design. This staircase, made from imported marbles, wound its way upward in a spiral, leading guests to the upper floors of the mansion. The staircase was both of Ashe functional element and a goddess symbol of the family's wealth. It was meant to be as impressive as a feature that would take anyone who entered the mansion's halls by surprise. The stairs led to the private quarters of the mansion, rooms where the Crocker family would retire at night, but also spaces that were often used for more intimate gatherings and family affairs. A wasp ballroom, a room designed specifically for entertaining, was one of the most extraordinary features of the mansion. Sumptuously decorated, the ballroom had high ceilings and chandeliers, elaborate marble columns. The flooring was made from a dark mahogany, and the walls were adorned with trellises, gold leaf, and intricate molding stress. It was said that the Crocker family spared no expense in making this room as elegant as possible. The ballroom was often used for grand events, weddings, charitable fundraisers, and social gatherings that attracted the elite of San Francisco. Along with the grand spaces, the mansion featured several private rooms that were designed to give the family members the privacy they desired. Libraries, for example, was one of the most personal spaces in the mansion, designed with its rich wood paneling, dark oak bookshelves, and leather-bound volumes. The library was a room meant for introspection, and here's a reflection. Here, Charles Crocker would spend hours poring over business papers or simply enjoying the quiet of his personal space. It was said that this was also a room where the family would host more private meetings and discussions about their business affairs. Yes, was another place where the mansion's luxury was on full display, designed to impress. The room had an extended table made from brass-polished walnuts, surrounded by carved chairs upholstered in velvet. The windows were draped with luxurious silk curtains, and the walls were adorned with oil paintings of landscapes and family portraits. This room was designed for elegant meals, where the family would dine with guests and entertain in style. The dining room also served as a gathering place for business meetings, where high-profile individuals would be invited to dine and discuss deals, politics, and more. The mansion's interior design was carefully curated to convey a sense of opulence and refinement. Rich colors like burgundy or gold, and then deep green dominated the interior, complemented by his intricate rugs, there as elaborate tapestries and luxury furniture. The Crocker family spared no expense when it came to outfitting the mansion's rooms. The salons and sitting rooms were furnished with gilded mirrors, luxurious armchairs, and vases filled with exotic flowers. Every inch of the mansion was designed to be a feast for the eyes, meant to impress both guests and visitors who walked through its halls. Outside, the mansion's gardens and grounds were just as impressive as the interior. The estate was set on several acres of land with assessors' immaculate lawns, topiary, and a variety of exotic plants brought in from around the world. The Crocker family hired the best landscapers to design and maintain the gardens, and the estate soon became famous for its beauty. The gardens were used for both private enjoyment and public display, with the family often hosting garden parties and other events in the stunning outdoor spaces. It wasn't just the mansion's grandeur that made it stand out. It was also the heirs' innovative features that set it apart from other mansions built in the same era. The mansion was one of the first to incorporate as in modern plumbing and as electric lighting, making it a technological marvel for its time. The mansion's design incorporated the Daish's latest innovations, with hidden pipes running throughout the estate to supply water to the mansion's buyers' bathrooms and as kitchens, and electrical wiring that powered the R's chandeliers and A's decorative lighting. Every detail of the Ashe Crocker Mansion was designed to create a sense of Sarah's immense luxury. From the grand staircase to the Ashe private libraries, the mansion's architectural vision was clear. It was to be a place where wealth and power were as on display, and where the Ashe Crocker family could escape from the prying eyes of the world, while still being at the center of it all. The mansion was a true masterpiece of architecture and a symbol of the Crocker family's extraordinary success. As we move forward in the story, we'll look deeper into how this Ashe house of grandeur would eventually become a site of mystery as a rumor and a dark tales. As the mansion began to take on a life of its own, beyond the walls of luxury and refinement, the Ashe grounds surrounding the Ashe Crocker Mansion were just as grand as the Ashe Mansion itself, an integral part of the mansion's aesthetic and a reflection of the Crocker family's wealth and tasty. With the mansion situated on several acres of land in the hills of San Francisco, the estate's gas gardens were designed to impress and provide a stunning backdrop to the architectural masterpiece that stood at its center. The land surrounding the mansion was carefully curated, making it a symbol of opulence and a statement of the Oz family's social standing in California's elite circles. When visitors first approached the mansion, they were greeted not only by the imposing facade of the Ashe Crocker Mansion, but by an expansive landscape that seemed to stretch on endlessly. The mansion was strategically placed at the highest point of the property, giving it a commanding view of the surrounding San Francisco Bay Area, including the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance. The Ashe Crocker family wanted to make sure that their estate was not only a place of beauty, airy refinement, but also a symbol of power. The AC location was just as important as the design of the mansion itself, offering both a seclusion and a prestige. The Dar's gardens around the mansion were not just a space for leisure, but a Vazir's public statement. The family hired as landscape designers and horticulturists to create lush, manicured gardens that would become a defining feature of the estate. It was said that the grounds were as much a reflection of the Crockers' wealth as the mansion itself. Every garden was meticulously designed to impress and entertain, drawing inspiration from the Victorian and Italianate styles and incorporating botanical elements from around the world. The centerpiece of the estate's landscaping was the formal garden that lay directly in front of the mansion. This garden was designed in the traditional European style, with symmetrical paths and neatly trimmed hedges and classical fountains. The layout of the garden mirrored the mansion's architecture, with a series of tiered terraces and flower beds that framed the mansion's views. At the heart of the garden stood a large ornate fountain, a symbol of wealth and Anne's refinement. The sound of cascading water could often be heard as guests wandered the grounds, adding to the peaceful, tranquil atmosphere of the estate. Beyond the formal garden, the estate expanded into more wildly landscaped areas, where the Ashe Crocker family could retreat into a more natural and untamed environment. These areas were carefully designed to blend the Ashe artificial and the Ashe natural, creating a seamless flow between the mansion and the world outside. Here, the Ashe landscaping was less about order and more about creating a sense of serenity, with winding paths that led to hidden corners, secret gardens, and tucked away benches. These spaces were meant for quiet reflection, away from the grand events held inside the mansion. The gardens were also home to a variety of exotic plants and rare flowers. The Ashe Crockers were particularly fond of botany and had heirs extensive greenhouses built on the estate to house and cultivate the many rare specimens they collected over the years. The gardens were filled with blooming magnolias, says Lilacs, and camellias, each plant carefully chosen to reflect the luxury and exclusivity of the family's lifestyle. Many of these plants were imported from us Europe, Fars Asia, and other parts of the world, creating a rich tapestry of colors and scents that filled the estate during the spring and summer months. In addition to the flower beds and shrubbery, the grounds of the Ashe Crocker Mansion featured several as ornamental trees that had both symbolic and practical purposes. Towering as oak trees, cypress, and redwoods were planted along the perimeter of the estate, offering both privacy and a sense of grandeur. The trees created a sense of seclusion, ensuring that this Crocker family could maintain their privacy and distancy from the bustling life of San Francisco. The family's love of nature extended beyond the flowers and of trees. They also commissioned a series of sculptures to be placed around the grounds. These as artistic additions were a reflection of the Crockers' taste and love of culture, and many of the sculptures depicted classical figures. At first, mythological creatures and as animals. The sculptures were placed in strategic locations within the gardens, creating a sense of the balance between the natural elements and the artistic creations of the time. In addition to the main gardens, the estate boasted a private orchard where the family could grow their own fruit and rye vegetables. This section of the property was more practical, offering the family a self-sustaining source of fresh produce. It was also a place where the family could spend time in a more intimate and peaceful setting, away from the grandeur of the formal gardens. While the gardens and grounds were a place of serenity for the family, they also played a role in the social life of the Crocker family. The family would often host garden parties, tea ceremonies, and charitable events within the grounds. The landscaped gardens were ideal for entertaining guests, and the Crockers spared no expense in ensuring that the grounds were maintained to the highest standards. These events were an opportunity for the Crockers to showcase their wealth, but they were also a way for them to network and solidify their place among the cities as the elite. The family's involvement in gardening was not just about aesthetics. It also served as a way for the Crockers to demonstrate their refinement as class. The gardens and grounds of the Ashe Crocker Mansion were an essential part of the estate, and they added another layer of luxury and privileges to the already grand residence, whether it was through formal parties, private walks, or simply enjoying the beauty of the flowers. The grounds were a reflection of the Crocker family's wealth, tasty, and desire to leave a lasting legacy. As we move through the years, the Gardens would become as legendary as the mansion itself. And even as the mansion faced changes and renovations, the grounds remained a symbol of the family's enduring legacy. Over the years, the Ashe Crocker Mansion underwent significant renovations, each adding to the legacy of this grand estate. As time passed, the mansion had to adapt to modern needs, while preserving the historical charm and architectural beauty that made it one of the most magnificent estates in San Francisco. The mansion's definite transformation from a private residence into an estate that served multiple functions required vision, careful planning, and considerable investment. When Charles Crocker, the patriarch of the family, first commissioned the mansion's construction in 1883, it was a grand home designed to reflect his family's wealth and status. However, as with all historic estates, the mansion's needs changed over the years. With the passage of time came the necessity to update the mansion's infrastructure and adapt to new technologies and living standards. These updates were not done haphazardly, but rather with a deep understanding of the mansion's historical value and the desire to maintain its elegancy. The first major renovation occurred at the turn of the 20th century, when the family began to experience shifting societal values. The new century brought with it a demand for greater comfort and luxury, especially in the interior spaces of the mansion. The once grandiose Victorian-style interiors began to feel outdated, and the wise Crockers decided to update the wise furnishings, replacing the older Victorian furniture with far more contemporary and upscale items. But it wasn't just the interior decor that required renovation. The mansion itself needed their structural updates. The plumbing and heating systems were some of the first areas to be modernized. While the mansion had been built with the best materials of the time, and advances in its plumbing and heating systems rendered some of the original systems inefficient. Water pipes were replaced with this modern plumbing, and the Ziar's heating systems were updated to accommodate the new central heating methods that were beginning to emerge in affluent homes. In the Ashe 1920s, the Ashe Crocker Mansion underwent another round of renovation largely driven by the changing tastes of the time. The Art Deco movement had made its way into San Francisco, and many wealthy families sought to incorporate these modern styles into their historic homes. While the mansion's architecture largely remained intact, the interior underwent a major transformation. Inspired details were added to the interior spaces, including hours and geometric patterns on the walls and also decorative elements with sleek. Modern furniture replaced the traditional Victorian pieces, and the once richly ornate interiors were simplified with clean lines and minimalist touches. These updates gave the mansion a more contemporary feel, while still respecting the mansion's grandeur and historical significance. One of the most notable renovations came in the 1930s when the mansion was handed down to the next generation of this Crocker family. At this point, the estate was starting to show signs of Zollers' wear and tear, and the family was faced with the challenge of maintaining the mansion's exterior. The Ashe Mansion's facade was carefully restored, with the stonework being cleaned and any cracks or damage to the structure repaired. The original Victorian Gothic features of the mansion were preserved, while adding reinforced steel and modern materials to ensure that the mansion would remain structurally sound for future generations. During this period, significant attention was also given to the mansion's gardens and grounds. The S. Crocker family hired a renowned landscape architect to design new garden spaces that would better reflect the family's evolving tastes. These changes included the addition of Japanese-inspired gardens with Vascoid ponds, peaceful walkways, and carefully manicured bonsai trees. The mansion's grounds became a reflection of the blending of old and new, with its traditional garden elements mixing seamlessly with more modern, exotic designs. In the mid-20th century, the Crocker family began to face financial challenges largely due to the decline of the railroad industry, which had been the family's primary source of wealth. During this period, the mansion's future was uncertain. In the 1960s, as the family struggled to maintain the estate, the mansion was open to the public for private events and tours. This marked a major shift in how the mansion was used. Once a private residence for the Crocker family, the estate began to function as a venue for high-profile events, including charitable fundraisers, weddings, and galas. The public's growing interest in the mansion prompted another round of the SARS renovations in the 1970s and of 1980s. These renovations were aimed at preserving the mansion's historic charm, while also making it more functional for modern use. Plumbing and electrical systems were updated once again, and the mansion's kitchens and bathrooms were remodeled to meet the expectations of 20th century standards. The West 1990s saw a major shift in the mansion's use, as the Crocker family sold the estate to private foundations that aimed to preserve the mansion for future generations. With this new ownership came another set of renovations, this time focused on museum quality preservation. The mansion underwent extensive restorations to its original Victorian-era features, including the restoration of original murals, decorative moldings, and woodwork. Efforts were made to bring the mansion back to its original glory, preserving the historical elements while still accommodating the needs of modernist visitors. Today, the War's Ashe Crocker Mansion stands as a testament to both the Wausau's rich history of the Crocker family and the Was legacy of its architectural beauty. Its War's renovations have ensured that it remains a vibrant part of San Francisco's history, blending our modernity with our historical significance. While the mansion has seen many changes over the years, each renovation has played a role in preserving its aforesaid glory and elegances. The Ashe Crocker Mansion has long been a subject of fascination, not only for its grandeur and architectural magnificence, but for the dark secrets that have lurked in the shadows of its sprawling estate. Like many historic homes that have witnessed the passing of time, the mansion has been the backdrop for a multitude of mysterious events, rumors, and scandals, some that have made their way into local lore, while others remain shrouded in secrecy. The mansion's history is not without its share of tragedy, and it is said that some of these tragic events have left their mark on the estate, creating a reputation that has lingered over the years. One of the most persistent rumors is that the mansion is haunted with whispers of ghostly apparitions and disembodied voices and strange occurrences that have plagued the home for generations. The first dark tale associated with the mansion centers around the mansion's original owner, Ashe Charles Crocker, who was known for his business acumen as a key figure in the Central Pacific Railroad. Although he achieved incredible wealth and social standing, it is said that Crocker may have had secrets buried beneath his polished exterior. Some say that his wealth came at the expense of many his sacrifices, and that his dealings with corruption and dirty money during the rise of the railroad caused a great deal of, internal guilt and personal turmoil. There are those who believe that his father's business dealings might have led to his blood on his hands and that the mansion's haunting atmosphere was the result of his unsavory past. Another dark story that has haunted the mansion for decades involves the untimely death of Crocker's wife, as Mary Crocker. While official records state that Mary died of natural causes in 1905, there are whispers that she may have met a tragic end, far darker than her death certificate would suggest. Rumors have long circulated about a possible murder, with some suggesting that Charles Crocker, whose personal life had become more strained, may have been involved. This theory was further fueled by eyewitnesses who claimed to have seen strange happenings around the time of her death. Some even report hearing anguished cries coming from within the mansion's walls on the night she passed. Was it a case of foul play, or were these just the ghost stories of an era gripped by the wild tales of the time? The Ashe Crocker Mansion's dark history didn't end with the Crocker family. When the estate passed into the hands of new owners in the early 20th century, the mansion became the site of more sinister rumors. Several of Sarah's unexplained disappearances reportedly occurred on the grounds. One of the most unsettling stories involves a young servant girl who vanished from the mansion without a trace. The Charles Crocker family had employed many staff over the years, but one particular night, the young woman was last seen in the kitchen preparing dinner. Hours later, she was gone, and there was no sign of her anywhere on the estate. Despite efforts to search the grounds, she was never found, and no explanation was ever offered. Some locals believe her spirit still wanders the mansion, particularly in the Aller's kitchen, where she was last seen. Visitors have reported hearing soft footsteps, and even the clinking of dishes late at night, suggesting that the young woman's disappearance was far from ordinary. The mansion also became infamous for its relationship with the occult in the 1920s. A new generation of owners with fascination for mysticism moved into the mansion during this time, and it was rumored that they held seances and rituals within the mansion's walls. These mystical gatherings were said to invoke spirits and even attempt to contact the dead. The mansion's dark reputation grew as tales of spirits trapped in the estate began to surface. Visitors and staff members began to report unusual sensations while on the grounds, with many feeling a sense of unease or being watches when they entered certain rooms. Even the mansion's garden became a place of ice mystery, with some claiming to see Ashe, shadowy figures, moving between the trees during the dead of night. In more recent years, there have been numerous reports from both as tourists and ICE staff about paranormal activity within the mansion. As far as footsteps echoing through the halls when no one is around, doors slamming shut on their own, and cold spots in areas that should be warm. These are just a few of the eerie occurrences that people have claimed to experience. The main staircase, in particular, is often said to be a hotspot for strange happenings, with several guests and staff members reporting the sound of a woman's voices calling their name, only to turn around and find no one there. Some have even claimed to have seen figures in the mirrors, with faces appearing in the glass that didn't belong to any living person. But it's not just the ghosts of the mansion that contribute to its dark reputation. There have been several or scandals tied to the property that have added to its sense of mystery. In the early 1900s, rumors of illegal gambling and underground parties that being held within the mansion's lavish rooms surfaced. These activities, while never fully confirmed, were said to have included high-profile guests, business magnates, politicians, and even a few Hollywood stars of the time. The mansion became known as a place where secrets were exchanged and illicit activities took place behind closed doors, adding a layer of intrigue to the estate's already dark history. Throughout the mansion's storied past, there have been multiple reported sightings of a figure, a tall man in a dark suit standing in the windows, seemingly watching those who passed by. No one knows for sure who this figure is, but many believe it to be the heiress ghost of a former Crocker family member still lurking in the halls of the mansion as unable to leave. These chilling stories, however, are not just the stuff of legends. Over the years, the Ashe Crocker Mansion has been the site of multiple investigations by us as paranormal experts, and some claim to have captured evidence of our supernatural phenomena, whether it's the faintest whisper on a recording or a shadowy figure caught on camera. The Ashe Mansion's eerie reputation endures, cementing its place as one of San Francisco's most haunted locations. Despite the dark legends that swirl around this Ashe Crocker Mansion, one thing remains clear: the mansion's place in his inner history is undeniable. The mansion's mystery, secrets, and hauntings have made it a captivating subject of study for historians, as paranormal investigators, and as curious visitors alike. Its allure, tied to both the our tragic past and lingering spirits, continues to fuel the fascination surrounding it.